This story contains some strong language. Day 24. Ethereal. A sharp block of sunlight pushed through the small square window into the tavern. Little more than a house, with a small range in a dark corner and a few tables, it was enough for the village. At this time of the morning, everyone was in the fields or tending to their duties, so the men had the place to themselves. Clad in burnished sheet metal plate, flecked in dried mud, blood and various other fluids, the group of four ambled through the low doorway with a chink, chink. First through was Percival, the visor of his bassinet still lowered. As if he couldn't see them, he pushed tables and stools aside like tall grass with his massive legs, making his way to the back of the room by the fire. The other three followed, a stout man with a bald head and blue surcoat, a tall bearded one sloping sideways to avoid hitting his head on the beams, and the youngest, Christian, following at the rear, his eyes darting about behind his long blonde curtains. Percival sat, squeaked open his helmet, and looked around at the otherwise empty room. "Ale here," he boomed. A girl appeared like a mouse from the door they had just come through, dropping an empty bucket, clearly not expecting anyone. "Oh, I'm sorry, my lords, right away." "Ha!" the stout fellow barked. "Not quite lords, sweetheart, but we've worked up quite a thirst looking for those bloody Wyrwolves over behind what's-his-name's farm. We've been up all bloody night." Their host would have blushed at the language if she hadn't paled at the mention of Wyrwolves. We're terribly grateful. They've been terrorising us." She placed down 4 mismatched wooden mugs, dripping with foam. "Pa would want you to have these for nothing." "Pa would be right," said the beard, as the mug came up to meet it. This band had followed a call into the region to root out another infestation, another scourge. If it wasn't Wyrwolves, it was zlobrs, muscular grey-brown halflings nesting under haylofts and bridges with nasty tempers. And if not zlobrs, then ethereals, shape-changing sprites that were impossible to spot unless bright light shone through them. Save for Christian, the group was experienced, but they hadn't had much luck lately. Last night's full moon had been obscured by a cloud, and based on some of their previous rowdy exploits, you couldn't be sure if you'd rather have them in town or the Wyrwolves. But the girl wasn't to know that, and they were behaving themselves for now. Percival saw to that. He glared at his men as they drained their mugs and pointed at them for more. They were good, as men went. They mostly did as they promised, and they looked out for each other. Christian was very green, but they all were, at one time or another. He was looking into his ale as if he'd dropped something in it. "We'll take victuals too," said Percival, as the girl came to collect the mugs. "Is this one dead?" she asked, as she looked at Christian. His eyes widened in horror. The silence deafened them. "Whatever's the matter, lad?" asked Baldy. The girl was shocked. I meant your ale, young sir. Can I bring you another?" She looked around desperately at the other men, terrified she had done something wrong. Stammered Christian. "No, yes, excuse me." His stool scraped as he jumped up and half-jogged outside. The beard sighed. "He's gonna get one of us killed." "I hope it's himself," piled on Baldy. "The food, gal," said Percival gently, bringing her to her senses. They dined simply but well. Wooden plates covered in herring oil were being mopped with hunks of rough bread by the time any of them thought of Christian. Percival was wrapping a couple of the fish and some cheese in sackcloth for the evening when Baldy said, "He never came back in." The beard stretched his wide shoulders and stood up. He went to the window and gasped. "What is it?" asked Baldy. You'll never guess. Baldy heaved his now even fuller frame up, bracing himself. At the window, he laughed. That made the beard laugh too. You stupid bugger, you had me go in there. Percival, look at the poor sod. Percival joined them at the window. Christian stood blocking the sun beside a huge pile of vomit, tears drying on his cheeks. The chuckles of the three men in the little window made Christian break into a broad smile too. I don't know what got into me, he said as he walked towards them. She said something about me being dead, and I just... He shrugged. Happens to the best of us, lad, said Percival, to grunts of agreement. Christian was staring at him. His grin had gone, only to be replaced by that same look of horror. Oh, whatever is it now? Moaned the beard. Is he pulling our legs? Christian was pointing, mouth twitching, the words unable to form. Ethereal! To his horror, Percival realized the boy had stepped out of the sunlight which was now shining right in his face, or rather, straight through his face, into the back of his helmet. As he made to move, it was as if he moved the two men either side of him instead, as they fluidly grabbed an arm each and took Percival backwards onto a table. As he slammed onto his back, the beam of light left no doubt. While not completely invisible, the form of Percival's face was transparent, his scarred nose and unshaven chin backgrounded by the padded interior of the bassinet behind. What the fuck? Said the beard, the fear in his voice retelling all the stories he'd heard about ethereals. How they burst out through living men to take their form, or murder children in secret so that oblivious parents protect them like some horrendous cuckoo. But, started Baldy, this doesn't make any sense. How long have we known him? Doesn't he eat? Haven't you seen him eat? I don't know. He was... Christian joined them, looking down at Percival. I always wondered why he kept his visor down all the time. I just assumed he was being careful, said the beard, and it is a lovely bassinet. The three men looked at each other. The one person they needed help from was now pinned down in front of them, except when they looked, all they saw was an empty helmet atop an empty suit of armour.